I'm not crying. Well, I am crying, but it's only because I love beets so much. Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Today, we're making pickled beets. This is one of my favorite and my kids' favorite in the winter when we are serving those rich, flavorful stews. Right now, it's not my favorite because it is messy, but it needs to be done. I don't want these beets to go to waste. I took all of the effort into growing them. I want to put all of the effort into preserving them. We're going to start with 14 pounds of beets here. These are very firm beets. I've already gone through. There's some of them that I did not refrigerate properly and they're kind of soft. We won't be using those. You want to start with a product that is firm to make the best quality pickled beets that you can. The first step in this process is to take these beets, put them in this pot, and we're going to boil them on our outside cooker because I don't want to heat up my house any more than I have to. And we're going to cook them until the skins fall off. Let's get to work. I don't want those. When I put these beets in the refrigerator, I had every intention to come back fairly quickly and can them right away. But sometimes life gets in the way. That's all right. As you can tell, these beets are all different sizes. If these beets were a little bit bigger, like this one right here, it's a pretty big size. This would hold in my crisper in a plastic bag or in a container for a while. But we're just gonna go ahead and preserve them all because I have already started another round of winter beets. So that's what, I won't need these because I will have beets in the garden. So I can free up some of my refrigerator space because my husband is starting to get annoyed with all of the produce that we have in the refrigerator. I should probably be separating these in different sizes, small ones and large ones, so that because they cook at different rates, but instead I will just fish them out as I need to. This is the messiest part. These beets are, I've already sprayed them off, but they're still kind of, they got dirt on them and stuff like that. And then when we put them in this big pot and we fill them with water, and then we're gonna take them outside. And then when we peel these beets, they're messy. You're gonna be purple. And that's why I'm wearing black today, because it is very, very messy. It does wash off. It's not like it's forever staining or anything like that, but you wouldn't want to wear your nice Sunday whites or anything like that when you're doing this. Whoa. While our beets are boiling outside, we are going to start our brine back here. You want your brine to be nice and hot, so we have that turned on, and we're also going to cut up our onions because I like to layer lots of onions in with each of my beets. So I'll cut these onions and talk to you about the brine. Whew. All right, sorry. These onions are way stronger than I was expecting. I'm not crying. Well, I am crying, but it's only because I love beets so much. The recipe for the brine that I use is 1 cup of water, 1 cup of vinegar, half a cup of sugar, and about a teaspoon of salt. The recipe that I originally started with was equal parts of water, sugar, and vinegar. But we eat these beets so much in the wintertime that I wanted to cut down on the sugar a little bit. I have tried to go less, as little as 2 tablespoons per cup of water and vinegar, and it just wasn't, it was, at that point it wasn't like the sweet pickled beet that me and my family like. So it wasn't for us. So the half cup is pretty good for us. We really like that one. You can go more towards the original recipe and do the equal parts, or you could go even less. So it's up to you. That's what's great about canning and preserving and cooking at home. You get to do what you want to do. And that's why I absolutely love it. There's so many different ways to cook and to can, and I love all of them. One of my hobbies is to collect cookbooks. My husband makes fun of me, but I read cookbooks like my kids read children's books. Cookbooks, gardening books, I love them. I have really old cookbooks that I find fascinating to look at the old ingredients that they put in things, and even to try to use some of those old ingredients. Now there's the ones that use Crisco, and I have a Jell-O cookbook that it just specializes in all Jell-O. That one's pretty fun. It's kind of gross, but it's pretty fun to look at. So I put about half an onion per quart of beets. So we're gonna put beets, onions, beets, onions, beets, onions. We're gonna layer them in our jars, and then we're gonna top them with our brine, and then we're gonna water bath them for 20 minutes. It is pretty simple. After you get the beets peeled and cut up, the recipe is very simple. But that first step of getting the beets peeled, it's messy and time consuming, but don't let that deter you from making pickled beets, because they're delicious. In the wintertime, when you're having that hearty stew or even on a salad, we really enjoy pickled beets. However, if your kids eat too many of them, just know when they go to the bathroom, it will turn things different colors. So don't go to the ER if you remember that your kids have eaten, or you have eaten, a lot of these pickled beets because they're just so delicious, and you use the restroom and it's funny colors. It could be the beets. Word to the wise. I did a soil test. I am so excited. It's the first soil test that I've ever done in my garden. So I did the whole process of getting my soil tested. Because this year I felt like they were green and lush and they were beautiful, but they were just kind of lacking. You know, they didn't produce really well, and I know we got a lot of rain and it's a lot of different things, but either way, I got my soil tested. It was a very easy process, and I'm waiting on the results, so I'll share those with you and how I did that. Almost ready. This one, yep. Cool it off a little bit. Whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. See how the skin just peels right off of there? The next step that we have is to peel all of these beets. I will take the tops off just a little bit, and then they should. Some of them are being kind of dramatic, but you just peels right off. Cut off anything that you don't want. As you're putting them in this bowl, this is our clean bowl, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut them to the size that I like. If they're small enough, we love to leave them whole. This is about half of the beets that I had in that big pan because I wanted my water to stay cool. And this part takes a while. Cut off the top, make sure all the debris is off. Drop it a few times. They are not mushy. They're not hard. If you've ever sliced a beet, you know it's hard. So they slice pretty easily. And then when we put them in, we take them inside and we're gonna pack them in our jars. And then we put our brine on top. Some people will tell you to put them in your brine and cook them some more, but I don't find it necessary. Now these beets are warm, so don't burn yourself. If they're really big, we cut them in half. At this stage, they are edible. If you like beets, you'll probably like them at this stage. Earthy, wonderful. I might have to put that bowl on the ground. It's kind of, when you only make these once a year, it's kind of sometimes hard to remember your process. Beets are another one of those recipes that I have been making with my family for as long as I can remember. We used to make so many of them. We had those big totes. We had totes full of beets. We don't eat that many, so I don't need that many. See, this one's kind of hard to peel, so I'm just going to use my knife. You can use the back of it so you don't take off too much of your beet and just kind of peel it. And that's from it being in the refrigerator. Not quite as fresh. You do kind of want the beets all about the same size. They can just a little bit more evenly that way. That way you don't. If you have a bunch of little bitty small pieces and a bunch of big pieces, you're gonna have uneven cooking. My kids went on a walk with my husband while I was doing this. And they asked me, why are you making these videos? And I told them my main reason was for them. I started to make YouTube videos about what we can and preserve and about the garden for them, so they have it, so they can look back on it. Because when you're a kid, you don't truly like understand what your parents are doing or why they're doing it. And so I want these recipes that are our family recipes, some that we have here every day, some that I've been making with my family for a very long time, some new ones that we will grow to love. I want a spot that they can access them. And also, I find it wonderful to be able to share the garden and these fun recipes with everyone. It doesn't, I think I've said it before, but you don't have to have a huge homestead, can and preserve. You can go to the farmer's market and you can have a small garden and still preserve. Gentle. I'm not working on that one. There you go. All of our beets have been peeled and sliced. Now it's time to stuff our jars. Our brine is over here heating up because I want a very hot brine when I pour it into the jars. And then this is our water bath canner. With our 14 pounds of beets, we were able to clean 24 cups of beets. And you do want to make sure these are packed in here pretty tight because they will release some liquid and I don't want them floating. And you want them below the neck of the jar. Don't move the camera every time I do something. All of our jars have been packed with beets to the neck of the jar. And now we are going to fill each of them up with brine. And again, you only want the brine to cover the product and go to about the neck of the jar. And with my 24 cups of beets, I end up having 7 quarts and 1 pint. They're all full, and we have a nice cotton cloth, and we are going to wipe the rim of every one of the jars before we put a seal on it. I have my water bath canner right here, and it is boiling. I wiped the rim of these jars so that there is a nice seal between my seal and the glass jar. And then you put the ring on, just finger tight. If there is any debris in between the seal and the rim of the jar, it will not seal properly. And when I say the rim of the jar, I mean this very top part of the jar. And we are going to water bath can them for 20 minutes. We will let these jars sit on the counter for about 24 hours, and then we will remove the rings and put them in the pantry. I leave them in the pantry for about 2 weeks before I open and enjoy them. They are best served cold out of the refrigerator, but you can serve them however you want. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.